Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Special Edition Get Nick Homeathon in collaboration with GoFundMe. So I'm just about to set up for the live show with Nick, and hopefully we'll have some special guests coming along as well to amuse you and talk about Flat Earth during the proceedings of actually hopefully getting Nick home. So just to give anybody who's watching this sort of pre and after show for the event a watch, I'm going to give you a little bit of background from what I understand and how I've got involved in this particular scenario. So yesterday in Iron Realm Media chat, Nick mentioned that he was in the UK and asked if he was with his family, and he said he wasn't and he'd been without them for 8 months. So off the back of that, I did a quick vlog explaining that I was going to be running a GoFundMe campaign with Nick once he'd set it up, which he's now done, and there is a link below this video if the campaign is still running when this video goes out, and obviously will be below the live Get Nick Homeathon video when that goes out. So that's the situation as it stands. Now, Nick out in Thailand lives a very frugal life, which is wonderful. The cost of living being low and all is great, until you get to the UK and there's a COVID-19 lockdown, and suddenly that causes a massive amount of problems. So that is the reason why he has been precluded from returning home to his 5 children and wife, who are desperately waiting for him to return to his family. So that's pretty much it in terms of the introduction for this GoFundMe campaign. This is more of a sort of behind the scenes introduction to it. Will obviously be after the fact, so the actual live stream for those of you watching this has already taken place, and as I say, the campaign may or may not be running when this is aired. So if it is, there is a link below. If it's not, massive thanks to all of you who did support the campaign. So I'll raise the mic on our guests once we get some, Nick especially. He'll be here in the next 10 or 15 minutes, but obviously there'll be no gap for you. Just before Nick gets a phone call from me on Skype, if I can read this text, I'll see if I can read out his little introduction that he's done on his GoFundMe campaign. I'm Nick, YouTuber Phuket Word. I'm a father of 5 and stuck in the UK. You will... Oh, I need to get closer. Let's just move my mic. Hold on. You will understand my reaching out to you as I've been separated from my family, from my wife and 5 children in Thailand for 8 months. We have been separated since the country went into lockdown due to COVID-19. With your help to raise £2,000, you will be supporting my family being reunited, hopefully before Christmas. I flew to the UK from Thailand in early February on what was intended to be a brief visit to see my mother, and planned to return to my job and family in Phuket. Or Phuket, I should say. Just scroll down a little bit. Like you, I have been subjected to the new restrictions, and I need your help to be with my family again. This whole thing has felt like a prison sentence without knowing when it will end. You can get through restrictions as an expat with family in Thailand, so I'm now finally eligible to return to the Thai government. As you return to be repatriated, but you are under very strict conditions that make your repatriation very expensive. Here are the costs I'm asking for to help to cover and be entitled to get a certificate of entry from the Thai government. And then he lists all of his costs. There it is. I'll break off here until I've got Nick on the phone, and then shortly after that we'll actually start the live show.
Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
Hi. Good. Oh, thanks, man.
I left it about the time I thought it'd take. We're recording from now, just so you know. So we'll be live in about.
I took my phone.
Say again.
Anyway.
Say again, Nick.
Oh no, I took my phone out, but it didn't ring, so I came back in and boom, boom, boom. So yeah.
Good timing. So
Yeah.
we're recording now, just in case something cocks up, and it means obviously everything's for nothing if I haven't recorded it or the live stream fails. It all seems set up. The connection's previewing. It's all working. There's an ad out. It's all ready to go. I've done a brief introduction before you got here to explain to anybody who watches this after the fact. So I'll republish this video on my second channel. And depending on how the campaign's going, I've already prefaced my audience by saying, look, if the campaign's still going, obviously go and hit the campaign. If it's not, then thanks already. But yeah, so we're all ready to go. It's a couple of minutes before we'll go live. A couple of other things. I've sent out the link to sort of regulars, panel members, as opposed to the public. So at some point we might get joined, we might not. I'll put the link out. I've not, prefaced it with anything, so they may or may not join, and then that'll obviously bolster our conversation slightly. But I think everything else I've prepped you. I think you know what we're going to talk about, and it'll be easy peasy. I think once the show's actually going live.
Yeah, lovely. That's great. Well done. Fair shout to you. I know it's complicated. So an amazing response already. I see. I'm humbled. I really am. It's amazing to have this community around.
Yeah, there's not going to be a soul out there that's not going to empathise with your situation. So yeah, I think it'll be a fairly easy campaign. I've got to be honest. Hopefully we can get you jetting off to your family as soon as humanly possible.
I hope so. And literally, when we were talking earlier on, the postman literally came with my visa, and it was, I didn't have any I had confirmation that it was on the way, but my passport was being returned, but I had no idea whether I'd been given the visa. So literally, as we were talking before, I opened up the thing to see that I had the visa. So this is absolutely brilliant.
Excellent. Right, it's on the hour, or we'll be in about 10 seconds, so I'm going to pop your line on mute. We'll do a quick introduction. I'll introduce you, and then we'll be away with the races, or whatever they say.
Okay, I'll just look out for the notification on YouTube then, yeah?
You don't need to do anything. So from this point on, Nick, all I want you to do, I don't mind being a little bit late, just to clarify this, all you need to do is be there with your beautiful brain talking about Flat Earth. That's all I want from you. Everything else, put out of your mind. I'll deal with everything else. Okay?
Yeah, lovely.
Cool. Right, let's get rocking and rolling.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Special Edition Live. This show's going to be a Get Nick Home-a-thon. So I have prefaced this live stream by doing a little shout-outs to all of the people who are already subscribed, so they know exactly what the scenario is going to be on this live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about Flat Earth most of the time. Obviously, there is going to be a bit of e-begging peppered in between those Flat Earth informational tidbits that we're going to lay out for you. Now, kind of intentionally, I've not had a chat prior to this with Nick very much on the phone, so we haven't really caught up, and we haven't spoken for a while, but I've known Nick for a very long time, so we're going to shoot the breeze as well. That's going to be part of the show. Again, peppered with a little bit of e-begging. So before we get into introducing Nick himself, I'm going to tell you exactly what the scenario is if you are unfamiliar. So Nick has come over to the UK. He was formerly a UK resident. Obviously, he's probably got dual citizenship. We'll find out soon enough. But nevertheless, he came over to see his mother and has been subsequently trapped here for the last 8 months away from his wife and 5 kids, which is absolutely heartbreaking. So off the back of hearing this for the first time yesterday, I've asked Nick to set up a GoFundMe campaign. There is a link in the info box below this video, in the information box, pinned in the comments, pinned in the chat. So there's definitely ways of getting to that video, that GoFundMe campaign. There's also a video that's been done by Nick, so that's gone out to his subscribers recently, linking them to this show if you want to join the fun only. Obviously, if you don't want to support Nick financially, it really helps if you do share this show, because obviously there's going to be a high degree of entertainment value. and also it helps to get other people who may contribute. So if you can't contribute financially, please do share the show on Facebook and Twitter. So let's introduce Nick. How are you doing, Nick? Good to have you here, first of all.
Hi, Nathan. Yeah, good to be here. Thank you very much indeed for pushing me to do this and your initiative there. So this is heartwarming. And
I said before we got going that it was going to be the case that I'll lighten up once the show gets going, but just for the audience's benefit, I've been a real bastard to Nick for the last 12 hours. I've done nothing but crack the whip. You will be doing this. You will be now doing that. Have you done this yet? Yeah, I've been a pretty unreasonable taskmaster, it's got to be said. But that said, as I said just before we started the actual live stream, there's not going to be anybody out there that doesn't empathise with your situation. And I didn't actually know before we started recording what the situation was, or before I actually read out what you put in your GoFundMe campaign. And I didn't really care, because I was kind of thinking about it, well, what if somebody says, oh, he's only in this situation because of X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care. Sure, are you being in this situation through nefarious, illegal means? I literally couldn't care less what's led to the situation. It's like, who cares? You just need to be back with your family, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm one of thousands of people that are in a similar situation, separated from their families. There are a lot of expats that are actually, or even tourists that got stuck in Thailand. But personally, yeah, I as you said, I just came back for a short visit, but it was at the time when everything got locked down, and Thailand's been very, very stringent. Even Thai nationals are having difficulty getting home with the added restrictions. So it's been a rough 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's heart-wrenching, mate. When you said it to me in the Iron Realm chat, I was lost for words. You just go, you just sort of stop. Because only a few days earlier we'd been discussing, where we would draw the line on the debate. And I'm like, right. Yeah, when it involves my family directly, and it's, that's where I draw the line in the sand. So when it doesn't affect you, you can have a fair old laugh about it and, look at it like how inconsequential it is to me. But then when somebody I know personally, you, is deeply affected by it, you're like, holy shit, excuse my French. I've got your campaign up, and there has been several people who've already contributed. So I'm going to do a few shout outs if that's okay by you. So
it's wonderful. Please do. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's cool. This will happen often. There's going to be a lot of this. So first and foremost, shout out to Chris Gilliott, who donated £20. Thank you very much indeed. JQ, woo, 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 woo. He was quick to point out to somebody that charged dearth with the entire funding of this campaign. He was like, look, man, we'll be there for him. And sure enough, on cue, JQ's a good friend at Dearth's, is there with his $200. So, wow, big shout out to you, JQ. Thank you very much indeed.
Fantastic,
and also an anonymous supporter who's contributed as well. I'll just refresh and see if there's a whole bunch more. So let's see all. Okay, so another anonymous donator who donated $5. Thank you very much indeed, whoever you may be. And again, to whoever the anonymous donator is, £20. Thank you very much indeed. David Johnson, thank you very much also for contributing £9, and Alan Atkinson also. Really, really appreciate all of your guys' support. So that's Daniel
Johansson.
Johansson. I'm looking at it on my tiny little text on a 4K screen. I can barely read it. Before we started, I was reading out your intro. That's part of the campaign, and because I was reading it off the OBS screen, it's like, what's my choices? 4K or tiny OBS preview window? So it's really difficult to read. But there we go. I've got it up on screen anyway, along with the pictures of your beautiful children and your wife. So there we go.
It's I mean, my daughter, I got to, my daughter's 25, and she's replaced my duties. She gets the kids to school, and she's working herself. She's a rock, and of course my wife is doing everything else with the other kids. I mean, it's amazing what they've done while I've not been there, and. Yeah, I left at a time that wasn't very good either. It was It was, but it just had to be done. So, yeah, I really must thank my daughter as well for being such a good daughter. Yeah.
Hopefully she gets that shout out. So I have actually sent out a link to various other panel members, so we may or may not be joined by other people. There is a link available by the usual channels if you are a usual on Flat Earth Debate. I know Saturday is not a typical live day. However, if you want to join in the conversation, we're going to be discussing Flat Earth the majority of the time. So obviously, periodically, there's going to be shout-outs, but by the same token, it's going to be a chit-chat between me and Nick about catching up on Flat Earth generally, because we haven't spoken on that subject for a while. But if you are one of the regulars, feel free to join. There is a link available in Skype. So, I can finally relax, Nick. This is the point. Introduction's done. I can actually relax. Live show's running. Everything's functioning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is it. There are, all of us are trying to raise awareness, aren't we, of so many things that affect all of us. And the flat Earth is a huge step in our journeys. We've all been on these wild personal journeys. Yeah, I've not met one flat earther who doesn't have some amazing story to tell as to how they got to where they are right now.
Can I say thank you too?
Oh, my mum's just popped in and she's wants to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for all you're doing or have done. I'm not really up to date with it all, but fantastic, really, whatever's happening.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure you'll fill me in later.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Nick's mum.
Yeah, but at least my mum, she's very good. She's very gracious about me being a flat earther, which cannot be said for some other family members. But that's the cross that we bear, isn't it?
Indeed. Now, there's a couple of people in the live stream already that are saying, what's happening? So, London Saucy. So, Nick's trapped here in the UK because of lockdown. And as a consequence of that, I've suggested he sets up a GoFundMe campaign. So, pinned in the comments and pinned in the live chat is a link to the GoFundMe campaign. There's already been several people who've already generously contributed, but that's essentially all this campaign is doing. So, I hope this isn't offensive to you, Nick. So, I'll speak on your behalf, and if I'm being rude, just say, oh, by the way, Nathan, about that flat Earth. So, based on the very modest living cost out in Thailand, that means that essentially when you get here and something like this happens, it just does become a financial barrier, right? As a direct consequence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For example, living expenses are cheaper, but it's as a foreigner, I don't have residency and I don't have Thai nationality. That's very, very difficult thing to do. They are a sovereign nation, living and working there is okay. But of course, as you say, coming back here and trying to do both, live here and effectively support everything that's going on there is extra tough, especially given. As I said, the whole tourism industry has completely shut down, and so it's and of course here, while I came back and I was frantically looking for work, and of course everyone else was shutting down and putting off things. So it was a crazy time to come back. Very, very bizarre indeed, especially to see. It was a culture shock. I haven't been back for about 15 years, so. It was quite strange to come back to the UK and see everything being put in place with all this kind of pandemic crisis going on at the same time.
Obviously, you've got to jump through quite a few hoops, and you've been very open about what hoops you've got to jump through and what they're going to cost on the campaign itself. But right. It's just an expense thing, right? You can stomach the testing and the poking and the prodding and the seeing how close you are to the sniffles or whatever it is they're going to do with you. But at the
Yeah, and of course, basically, there was no information available at all for several months until very, very recently. So, the Thai embassy and the consulate were non-responsive. They literally closed down. So there was no information. I had no idea of when I would ever see the family again, and so only now in the last few days has it become a possibility, as long as these requirements are fulfilled. In comparison, regardless of what people believe about this whole COVID thing, in the UK, you're still relatively all right for traveling. As far as I understand, you can come and go from the UK, and as long as you kind of promise to stay at home, then you'll be all right. But for countries such as Thailand, especially those in Asia, which seem to be have to have some much greater commitment to this, they've been they are being very, very strict and very protective. So many more expenses that would never have been an issue a few months ago.
Right. Obviously, you didn't come here thinking, "Oh, well, it's going to cost me at least $2,000 to get back."
That's probably would have literally been an airfare, maybe £500, which was was all fine and dandy, no problem. I had the resources to come home, make the visit, and go back. As I said, that I had a good job, and at the elephant sanctuary. That was all going great. That had just been, those people themselves are the people operating the sanctuary. I mean, we were just about getting to a point of kind of breaking even, and boom, the rug was pulled out from beneath them. So again, just one example of tens of thousands of people that have been really adversely affected. With no, there is no such thing as furlough or health insurance or national insurance in Thailand. So these are all things that cost now. And, they're not Thai prices.
Right. Well, there's several more people who've contributed, so I'm going to go and give them a quick shout out before we do anything else. Oh,
wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'll just say his name right, first of all, as I got your name. I butchered it last time. So, Daniel Johansson, thank you very much indeed. And let's move on. Alan Atkinson, thank you very much indeed. David Weiss, woo, 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 $100. Thank you very much indeed, David. Really do appreciate your support. Anonymous, another anonymous donor, has chucked you $20. Thank you very much indeed. And David J. Karen, hopefully I've said your name correctly.
Oh, yeah, David. All right.
Big shout out. Props to all of you. Thank you very much indeed. So, Nick, you were one of the first people I ever interviewed on a little show that hardly anybody watched called Flat Earth United Kingdom.
Right. Yeah.
And it was prior to understanding the intricacies of the logical fallacies, and the begging the questions, and all of that stuff. Long before debate.
Yeah. Wasn't it a crazy time? I mean, I think this was early days. 2015 maybe, when there weren't too many YouTubers doing flat Earth stuff.
No, I mean, at the time I interviewed you, both of us had less than 1,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah.
We were virtually unknown channels. And I mean, other than I managed to collar Math Powerland to do an interview, and he had gone into kind of recluse mode at that particular stage. But nevertheless, other than that, I had virtually nobody watching me. And yet you, me, and others were shooting the breeze about Flat Earth, basically with a very limited understanding at that stage. Yours far less limited than mine. You were still explaining perspective to a degree that I hadn't understood yet. But nevertheless, you were one of the people that got me on my way. The people that I needed to hear how it was all working with perspective, which was one of the things you were focusing at early on. That hadn't even occurred to me at that stage.
Wow, really? Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, we've all, learned from each other. We are each other's teachers, and even those people who would wish to trash the flat earther, they do come up with challenging questions. And as you say, after a while, you start to discern the difference between genuine questions or leading questions or completely irrelevant questions, and then gradually understand that anyone who's defending the globe is simply talking about a mathematical model, a concept that has never really existed. And it does take a long time to get to those fundamental understandings of what we're faced with and how we've come to believe in certain concepts. So it is I suppose for me, it was what I wanted to do was having gone through. Well, I think started doing videos while I was still going through it. It wasn't. I hadn't suddenly arrived at a decision. It'd been pointed out, and I'd had this kind of realization that wow, the horizon is always at eye level. Was what kind of really struck me as the one thing that then. So hence the whole thing about perspective, because you then realize that all of these explanations for the globe go off on interpreting observations. And of course, they mostly relate to what is supposed to be a geometric horizon, which of course in a mathematical model works perfectly. You can draw a circle or a sphere, and you can use your degrees and your tangent lines, and you can get extremely accurate results. And so, of course, what you have there is a so-called working model, and very little reason in most people's minds to question how or why it should be any different to what we've all apparently known since we were kids. Of course, one of the first things you notice when you're a kid when you go outside is the sun or the moon, and then you kind of talk about it and you're told stories, and that's reinforced through the media, through the education system, through just society in general. But thankfully, I was also in a culture, and I think it's the same for anyone. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to be someone that's traveled or indulged in another culture, but it certainly helps if you're that kind of person that is able to take on and consider other points of view. And I suppose in my case, I was forced to do that by living in Thailand and living in a different culture. You end up being forced to address your own beliefs, your own mind. So for me, the putting out these videos was, and it was weird. I remember doing the first one about perspective. I think I put a car on the table, on the top, a toy car on the top of a table to kind of demonstrate what happens to the surface as you raise or lower your point of view. And then the horizon that can appear. The car can appear to be sitting on the horizon if you're low down, or the horizon stretches beyond. This was to me, I felt really strange and weird to be doing a video that was explaining something so obvious. But then, of course, during the whole flat Earth thing, it had occurred that this wasn't obvious to most people, especially those defending the globe with their geometric horizon. And of course, their arguments with very precise mathematics. Did
you ever hear
go on.
what we straplined? There was an alteration to it, but what we called the globe mathematics, their geometry, their calculator got a nickname. It's quite long. I'm not going to ask you to recite it, but have you ever heard my long waffle about what the calculator's been called?
I have, but I never retained it. Yeah.
Well, I'll parrot off the original one, and I'll tell you about the correction because it's relevant to what you've just said. So it was originally called the Begging the Question Perspective Exclusive Earth Curve Calculator. Now it's called the Begging the Question Proof of Nothing Perspective Hijacking Earth curve calculator. And it's because during the debate we figured out, pretty much as you've just discussed, that what we're seeing in terms of what's happening optically is everything to do with perspective. But what they're qualifying it with in terms of their mathematics of geometry has nothing to do with perspective. So we used to say it's excluding perspective, when in reality, it's hijacked perspective. They've turned the vanishing point into a physical geometric sphere edge. Simple as that.
Yes. Yeah. So, a perspective becomes the imaginary curve. Yeah.
Exactly. So they've hijacked perspective, turned it into side-on, and again, we give that a bit of a nickname too. Their geometry is in side view. So you see the side of your own head, right, when you're drawing out that tangent to the presupposed curve. Well, if you see your side of your own head a bit like the guy operating a Muppet vision. So seeing the side of your own head. Because obviously if you're observing a picture to then run through those calculations, you don't see the side of your own head. That's turning it 90 degrees on, so you can remove all aspects of perspective. And the other thing they do you know the magic trick works with the numbers that they use? So when they're talking about the target in those maths, Nick, they'll always have a feet and inches value. So they'll say how many feet and inches are missing from the lighthouse. Well, that value doesn't change with distance. So if it doesn't matter if the lighthouse is right in front of you, right, and you're creaking your neck to look at the top of it, when it's out at the horizon, it's still got the same feet and inches value, which means they can remove the angular size reduction when it moves out at distance. So they just use whole numbers. That's the trick.
Yeah. Well, the irony is that obviously, we're taught to think that we are smart because we can perceive this external reference frame, as you say, the side-on view, or whatever you want to call it. That would appear to be this sign of intelligence. And, therefore we are smart enough to have sussed out that we live on a globe. But of course, the more you go on, that's what I'm trying to say. It's weird. This whole journey, of which flat Earth is, I think, one part of the realization of just how many illusions and delusions we are surrounded by. It's part of a process of self-discovery or self-reflection. And of course, yes, you do have to consider yourself as looking at yourself or from outside. But as you say, it's still all been hijacked rather than having a real empathy of that external perspective of oneself and of other people. Very, very fundamentally, there is no one on the earth that is perpendicular or opposite or upside down to anyone else. Of course, we all know that on a globe with down towards the center of this alleged Earth, then nobody's on top or nobody's. But this is just a way that it gets twisted. Again, there's no problem understanding that concept or perceiving that wherever you are on the outside of a sphere, down is towards the center of that sphere. Fine, but that's not reality. So one trip to the UK was quite significant for me because I was able to. I tried. For me, it was my final thing after several years of really going through all of this. My final proof was an attempt to measure any curvature over this 10,000 kilometer journey between Phuket and the UK. No, it's level. It's level all the way. There is no way that anyone can ever measure any kind of curvature that would have people the down direction for anyone being any different.
Right. It's merely an assumption, though. So when you make that journey, the assumption is that you have travelled antipodal to where you began. So right. I did it myself when I was travelling on planes. You're looking out, for me, out the back window because you can see a nice wide angle without any chairs in the way. And you're looking at it all flat, right? And the only thing that lets you know that when you arrive you're antipodal is your imagination. it's a model. You've already highlighted this. It's merely a reification of a model. So it's a philosophy for understanding how the star movements work that makes a presupposition that you're standing on a curved surface that you can draw a tangent to derive an R value, to then presuppose Venus has the same R value as we do, and then you can back calculate all of the sizes and everything else about the stars in the sky. Well, that is a philosophy, merely a philosophy. But we've all reified it. And like you say, it's introspective. You've got to look at yourself and say, well, why have I taken this model and philosophy and turned it into an actual spherical surface beneath my feet? Because when you look into the details of the people who are telling you, they're telling you it's a philosophy.
Yeah, and of course, you're smart if you can conceive and believe it. but yeah.
I'm going to do a few more shout outs, Nick. So let's just bring up the campaign again, if I can bring it up.
Yeah.
Razor by Nick. Here we go. So a few more shout outs to see where we ended last time.
Word. Wow.
Another anonymous contributor. So thank you very much indeed for your $25. Really appreciate it. Sean W. Thornhill. Woo, 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 woo. Shout out for the $100. Really do appreciate it. Also,
oh my goodness. Wow.
William Shepherd, thank you very much indeed for your contribution. Really appreciate it. APM Research sent you $50. Woo, 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 woo. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, man. Yeah.
And Chef Brody, is that right? Chef? I can't read at this distance.
I'm trying to look at the same time. Hang on.
Chief.
I've got all sorts of things popping up.
Mr. Brody, thank you very much indeed for your contribution. Really do appreciate your support. So, yeah,
where are we? Hang on. Oops. Okay. I can't. Sorry. Was that Brody? Was it? Oh.
Mr. Brody, indeed.
Oh yeah, Chief Brody. Oh.
Chief Brody. I got it right the second time, even at this distance. So I'm going to just do a quick call to action. If you are a regular panel member on Flat Earth Debate, I have actually shared the G Plus link. So if you do want to join and chat with us, you're more than welcome to chat with Nick and I while we run this fundraiser. I'm not entirely sure how long the fundraiser will last, but as long as we've got at the end of it a show that people can visit, and there's a link and there's discussion about what's going on. So while there's a little interlude, I'm going to actually tell the audience precisely what is going on. So Nick, Phuket Word is his channel. So also subscribe today to Phuket Word. I've got to start saying it correctly. Phuket Word. It's about PHUKETWORD. So that's the name of Nick's YouTube channel. And Nick's been doing this as long as I have, if not. Yeah, about exactly the same time we started, actually, just before Martin started, right?
Around the same time. Yeah, we all kind of started popping up. I can't exactly remember the chronological order, but there were just a handful of channels to go to, and of course, the content being uploaded was few and far between.
And mostly wrong, which is probably why we got promoted back then. Nevertheless, so I've known Nick for a very long time, and yesterday I found out that Nick has been separated from his family for the last 8 months due to the COVID lockdown, and it is, I say merely, but a financial obstacle that's stopping him. He needs to get tested and quarantined, and that all takes money. So that is literally what's preventing Nick from getting back, and that's something I can hopefully, well, as has been the case so far with the GoFundMe campaign that's been set up and has been reasonably successful so far, hit that link, smash that GoFundMe. Then it's been set up, and that's why we're here today doing this GoFundMe-a-thon, Get Nick Home-a-thon, Get Nick to his family-a-thon, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we're asking for people to support Nick in his endeavour to return to his family, having been basically trapped here in the UK for the last 8 months. So that is why we are having this stream. That's why I'm calling people on a Saturday to come into the stream and have a chat with us if they want to. And that is why Nick is sat here with his GoFundMe campaign currently running, if you are watching live. If you're not watching live, this campaign may very well still be active, so regardless if you're watching live or not, check out the link. At the very least, read what Nick's got to say about the campaign. He's obviously, I've read out those words earlier on in the pre-show, but yeah, check it out, and at the very least, share the campaign. So I'll bring the campaign up so you can actually see what we're talking about. But if you can't financially contribute, that's perfectly understanding. There is absolutely no obligation to anybody to support this campaign, but nevertheless, what does help, even if you can't financially support it, is a share. So if you can, on the campaign itself, there is a share button. So just click the share button and stick it on one of your social media platforms, even if you can't contribute financially. That helps massively. So it means that GoFundMe know that it's a popular campaign and they'll put it on their pages more often. It might make its way up the website searches. And so sharing is very important, even if you can't support the campaign financially. Obviously, though, we want you to support the campaign so that, hopefully at the end of the campaign, Nick can actually be jetting back off home, which is the entire objective of this particular hangout. So there we go. That's the purpose of the GoFundMe. Donate large, donate now. Whatever you have to say to encourage people to donate. I don't know. I haven't got any cheesy game show host lines. I need them right now, don't I? But yeah, smash the campaign. We'll get Nick home. I'm certain of it. We've got a very, very good community. About 5 years in. That's one thing I can say with absolute certitude. We may not get the support that we would hope to get from YouTube for whatever political reason that's been established ages ago, but we do have a very tightly knit community in terms of the people who do watch our shows, share our shows, share the show as well. That helps. Sharing this particular broadcast will also help Nick. There is no super chat that's been turned off, so that there's no chance that people can accidentally send me the money rather than Nick. And I've pinned the GoFundMe link in the live chat stream and in the info box. So there's one in the info box, there's one in the comments, there's one in the live stream, there's plenty of links everywhere. And as I said earlier, Nick's also done a little video advertising that he's going to be doing this GoFundMe-a-thon, and also there's going to be a link in that video. So if you want to Nick subscribers, obviously check out his video. I'm yet to watch it, Nick. I was too busy setting up the show. What did you actually say in your video?
It was very, very similar to what I very briefly explained the situation, which you've done very well yourself. So I've actually yet to put. I'm going to do that right now as we're talking. I'll put the link to your show into the.
Don't do
I'll
that.
pin it as a comment.
No, don't worry about it. Now that we're running, it doesn't matter. We've got a live audience, but I'd rather chat flat Earth with you than have you going off and doing administrative things. That's not to worry about now. Don't worry about that. There's going to be an audience joining us, and ultimately, what was important with that particular video, Nick, was that your audience got to see that you were doing a campaign. Not that I got people to come and watch, but obviously that all helps because there's more people to tell to share and obviously contribute if they can. So, but don't worry at this stage. I'll come back to shouting people out in terms of their contributions as we go along. But yeah, it's Chat Flat Earth. It's part of the marathon, right? If this was comic relief, we'd be telling jokes.
You did. Sorry, if I can just. You mentioned the community, and I think this is the wonderful thing about this. All of us at that time, or obviously everyone's at a different stage of what I would like to call self-discovery. We're all truth-seeking. The one, we're not kind of promoting alternative models and things like that. The truth is, nobody knows where we are, how we got here, and why we're here. And these are fundamental questions that we can either spend our lives trying to answer by asking questions of ourselves and really testing ourselves and pushing ourselves, just like any successful person would do. You go out of your comfort zone, you have a goal, and that goal might not be clear, but it's just and who knows where it might take you, whatever path anyone's on. But as long as we are taking ourselves out of our comfort zone and asking those questions, fundamental questions that I'm sure all of us feel that we would like answers to. We grow up asking questions, why, and of course a lot of the time we're given these kind of answers which are just somehow have been formulated from general consensus, and then of course we start asking, well, how is consensus brought about? And we have this wonderful kind. Of course there was some turbulent times at first. There's been all sorts of fallings out and this and that and the other. But that is to be expected. Just imagine if you tried to get a whole bunch of flat earthers on a boat to see if there's an edge or if there are lands beyond what we know. Just because we're all flat earthers, it doesn't mean that we would all have a hunky-dory happy time on a boat. We're all just people, and we're all just trying to get a grip on what this is. And of course, we're faced with a very, very confusing environment and a society that quickly tells us that you should conform, you shouldn't, there are certain things you just have to agree to go along with. But so yeah, we have this wonderful community of people that are. It doesn't matter about the personalities or the different beliefs. We all have this similar goal of trying to find out more than we've been told. And of course, the more we do that, the more we realize just how lost we are. And you probably went through it as well, didn't you, Nathan? There was that for me. I know there was a time. It's because there's a death of the old personality. The not the personality, but the. Do you see what I mean? Because there's a whole belief system. There's a whole. Our lives are built up around all sorts of beliefs. It's very cultural, and then suddenly we find ourselves without that, and feeling quite lost. And it can be there is a stage of depression because there is, for want of a better word, a vacuum that you feel needs to be replaced. And of course, that's the danger, is that you then pick up this other belief. You just replace that vacuum. But again, it's just a process that one has to go through. And there's some wonderful people that, of course, some of them I've never seen their face, but you just, we resonate. There's an understanding and seeking truth.
In case anybody wonders what Nick looks like, I've just put a picture of him up from the Skype call. Should have done that earlier, really. Okay. So, yeah, I totally agree. Not only are you shedding a paradigm, a lot of it's linguistically tied to your everyday vernacular anyway. So you'll find yourself talking in a kind of contextually global way without even realizing it. And some of the linguistic things that you'll talk about are associated to the fallacies of assumption that we're on a globe. And you'll hear yourself doing it and you're like, oh my God. Obviously we have that on the show all the time. And we discuss where we sit on Flat Earth Debate in that little scheme that you just discussed. So you've got the 5 stages of loss. Well, stage 4 before acceptance is depression. And before that is bargaining, which is where we come in. The denial and anger come before that. So you get the denial, you get the anger, then you get on to us. Obviously we're well on to the acceptance stage, but we've come back in for the general populace at the bargaining stage. Well, the problem with that, Nick, is that, as you correctly identified, the next stage afterwards is depression. So how many concessions do you think we get, given that concession leads to that stage?
But you know what? I think this is it. Instinctively, even the most hardened glober, instinctively they get it, and it shakes you to your core. And even if you cannot necessarily articulate it, what we are dealing with this fear. It is like I said, a fear of death. We all fear death. And again, this is something that we all have to come to terms with in our life. Unfortunately, we can spend most of our life avoiding that reality. The one thing that we can guarantee and be absolutely 100% sure of is one day we won't be here. And then, of course, what have we done in the meantime? But that's an innate fear that I think it's an instinctive reaction when the challenge about the earth comes about. And so I totally have total sympathy and empathy, however you want to say it, for the globers, that because in my mind they're suffering. We've all struggled with having to deal with a realization. It is just a realization. It's not a deliberate kind of, you wake up and be a flat earther. It's this realization through perseverance that comes about. And so that when you're talking to a glober who is using the word circumference or for example, that, well, if you don't have this hardwired attachment to the globe, then you will agree that circumference is a word that can be used for a circle on a flat surface, or a sphere, if you like. So, yeah, as you said, we have these things in our language which, unless we think about, we don't notice. And but it's usually very, very simple things which, for the most part, if they're pointed out and you don't have that attachment, then okay, you can reasonably accept that there's an argument there which doesn't have a proof either way. It's just pointing out that language. We each of us will have an individual image of a particular word or lexicon that we use, and again, it's all about the awareness. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to do a few more shout-outs, if that's okay by you, Nick. So,
yeah, sure.
I'll first of all point out the point of the stream, though. So Nick is trapped here in the UK, and basically I've suggested he sets up this GoFundMe campaign so that we can get him winging his way back to Thailand and his 5 kids and wife, who have been separated from him for the last 8 months. And it's a financial barrier that's between him and getting home, and hopefully we can, as an audience, you can get him home. That's basically what this is all about. So there's a GoFundMe campaign. There is a link to that GoFundMe campaign. That is in the live stream chat if you're watching this live. If you're watching it after the fact, there's a good chance the campaign will still be running. So if you want to contribute, then hit the link. Go to the campaign. If you can't contribute financially, at the very least, smash the share button in the GoFundMe campaign and actually share it on Facebook and Twitter. And that does absolutely help, even if you can't help financially. Obviously, if you can help financially, that would be fantastic. Set the tip to 0 if you can. That way, all of the contribution will go directly to Nick and getting him home. So I'm going to do a few shout outs to those of you who have contributed. So thank you very much indeed to Jeremiah Brown, who sends $25. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it. Alan Healy, thank you very much indeed for your $20. Really appreciate it. Henrik Oldenburg. Oh God, I'm butchering these names. I'm really sorry, Henrik. Thank you very much indeed for supporting the campaign, though. $20. Really, really do appreciate it. Michael Rutledge. Really appreciate the $20. Thank you very much indeed. John D. Woo, 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 woo. $50. Thank you very much indeed. Really do appreciate your support. Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. And also, finally, last but by no means least, Julio Pabon, who sends $100. Woo, 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 woo.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is sorry.
Nick's sounding a little overwhelmed there. So you're at 915 raised so far of 2,000 target. So the itemised list is in the campaign, so you can see exactly what precisely is being asked for and the reason why it's being asked for. So there you go. Check out the campaign. As I say, if you can't contribute financially, please do share the show and share the campaign while it's running. And if you're watching this after the fact, there's still going to be a link if it's running. If you are a Nathan Oakley 1980 Flat Earth Debate contributor and you do want to join in for the chat, I may keep the show running a little bit longer if indeed we are joined by a few people so we can keep the conversation running. Obviously, Nick and I are going to keep catching up and talking Flat Earth in the meantime while we're running this Get Nick Homathon. Is that what it's officially dubbed?
It rolls off the tongue. That's fine. Oh, I think you missed out. Red Pill Philosophy. Thank you, my man.
It's updated.
Yeah. This is. I'm honestly. I'm overwhelmed. This is magic. It's. As I said, it's light at the end of the tunnel. It's amazing. So thank you to everyone. I'm trying to keep myself composed here, Nathan.
That's why I said before the show to prep you. I was like, don't worry about the fundraising bit. Just let me do that because I can coherently and without being overwhelmed shout these people out and thank them. Whereas you just need to worry about talking about flat Earth and perspective and Coriolis effect and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't? Yeah. Oh, well. it's amazingly simple, isn't it? Really, it really is simple. The the Coriolis is another mad one, because it just doesn't happen. And again, one of those massive contradictions is the Foucault's pendulum. There it is. Obviously, this was used as some kind of proof that the Earth is spinning beneath the pendulum, I suppose, before the invention of aircraft. Would I be right?
Yeah, but I could kiss you. You've summarised it so succinctly and concisely. Right. The pendulum claims the Earth turns underneath. That's the claim. 15 degrees an hour as you rotate underneath. So Coriolis is you observing things drift because you're rotating underneath. That's what Coriolis is. Simple.
Yeah.
But we don't have it.
There's no denying of the science there and the terminology used for what you see. Yeah.
Not science, but easy now. We might come to that later. Yeah, it's very simple to describe the not actual deflection. The thing travels straight, looks like it's curving because you spin underneath. And the claim is Earth does that. So the pendulum's in a different reference frame. It's spinning only apparently. In other words, it's swinging back and forth. That's what pendulums do, back and forth only. It just seems to drift because you're turning underneath. Until you get planes in the air. And then they'd have shortened flight times when travelling west. But they don't, because nothing's spinning underneath. We're not spinning.
Yeah, exactly that. So I've said it many times before. I mean, to be honest, the Globers could do themselves a favour and show that they are being pragmatic by saying, well, okay, that's not a proof. But unfortunately for them, they'll stick to that. Again, a proof that was come up with before, aircraft were flying. And it has obviously since then been disproved or debunked. But this is what you're faced with is often people that will refuse to acknowledge that very obvious, verifiable fact that things, and you'll even have pilots admitting that no, the Earth isn't spinning beneath you. Well, okay then, cool. Then acknowledge that Foucault's pendulum is not a proof that the Earth is a rotating sphere beneath it.
I take a different tact, actually. So
okay.
They like to assert to us that there is a 15 degrees an hour deviation to prove Earth spinning. They'll even cite Bob Nodell and say, look, this is him demonstrating 15 degrees an hour deviation. They just never say the actual description of the Coriolis claim that they're making, which is 15 degrees an hour deviation as the Earth rotates underneath the pendulum, the gyro, the aeroplane, the helicopter, the hot air balloon. Oh, what's that? It doesn't deviate at 15 degrees an hour. Because the Coriolis effect is you observing it seem to drift. So you've got to be attached, looking up at something not attached, while you spin underneath it. So as soon as you point this out to them, they'll start detailing how the plane's accounting for it. Like it's got the atmosphere travelling with the Earth. And it's like, well, no, Coriolis is you observing it seem to drift. And as soon as you start detailing how it's not doing that, you've relinquished your claim that you've got drift, which is supposed to be the thing proving we're spinning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose another thing. Yes, of course, we have this issue where the whole globe model has been labelled as science, or it's assumed to be scientific discovery. A prerequisite of any assumption that we're on a spinning ball should be discovery and measurement of curvature on the surface of the Earth. But it's the elephant that's not in the room because it's never ever been discovered. So you have, of course, all these other explanations. And again, this is part of that process that we've all been through, where one bit by bit, one by one, you go through those explanations and then you try to validate or verify them, and none of them stand up, and none of them, they're all, kind of interpretations. So
I'm really sorry to do this to you, Nick. We interrupt this broadcast to give you a vital, what are we calling it again? Get Nick Homathon update. So we are actually over halfway on this campaign. Now, this has never happened while I've been doing a live stream, I've got to be honest, and this is the most lofty campaign I've ever, fronted, or whatever the words are. We're already well over halfway in the campaign. I'm going to be so bold as to say I'm going to try and predict that we might actually make the campaign total during this live stream if we push a little bit harder. So I'm going to do a few shout outs first, Nick. So let's do that first. So there's several people. I didn't see Red Pill Philosophy until I refreshed. So let's shout him out first. So big shout out to Red Pill Philosophy for the $10. Really, really, really appreciate it. Stephen Gardner, however, biggest contributor to date. Wow, £250. Woo-hoo-hoo! Party on, Steve Gardner. Thank you very much. You are really, really a superstar, getting the campaign well and truly going. I can't really say you're going. It's halfway there already. Thanks to all the people who've contributed. So big shout out to all of you. It might be the case that we can get Nick winging his way in the imminent future. We'll see how the campaign goes, but let's not cross our fingers too close to the start of this stream, even though we're halfway there already. Silent Zero, thank you very much indeed for the $15. Really, really, really appreciate it. And also, is that Dinosaur Falcon? Thank you very much for the $20. Really appreciate it. And also, is it Janice Trees? T-R-E. I can't read that at this distance. Sorry for butchering all of your names, but really do appreciate all of your support. Thank you so, so, so much.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, really amazing.
We'll let Nick get over his overwhelm bit while I actually tell the audience the point of the stream. So there may be people who've just joined us, and the point of this stream is Nick, who is YouTuber Phuket, got it right this time, Word YouTube channel. So subscribe today to Nick's YouTube channel, if nothing else. Share this stream if you're having fun and listening to all this flat earth information that Nick and I are chatting about. Obviously, it's very informative. Hopefully, we're having a bit of fun in the live stream chat. I can see everyone chatting away quite happily. I'm keeping an eye on it. But yeah, give big, give large, give now, whatever the encouraging game show host vernacular is for these situations, because Nick is trapped here, and it's a financial barrier that we've got between him and getting home to his 5 kids and his wife, who are waiting with anticipation for him to do exactly that. And he's detailed all of his circumstances in his GoFundMe campaign. There is a link in the information box below the video, in the text chat below this video. If you're watching it after we're live, the campaign is probably still running, maybe not. We may see towards the end of this stream. We'll hopefully reach the target. We will keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, so Nick's trapped here in the UK, and we're hoping to get him home. I only found this out yesterday in Iron Rail Media. Shout out to the guys over at Iron Rail Media, that Nick was trapped here, and obviously this is something that I've become a bit of a dab hand at, having campaigned for people like Sleeping Warrior and Ranty, and indeed myself, with far less lofty reasoning behind my campaigning. So, a little bit of financial trouble for me after a few bad purchase decisions and a few breakages left me crapping myself. This puts it into perspective, however, as I'm sure you can all imagine. If you're in Nick's shoes, having been separated from your family for the last 8 months, you'd want someone like me to do something about that immediately. Now, I haven't got a great deal of money to give Nick, far from it, but I can reach out to you and say you can help in some small way. So hopefully you'll reach into your pocket and actually drop some money on the GoFundMe campaign. If, however, that is beyond your means, please go to the GoFundMe campaign and click the share button. It massively helps, and it's the reason, because of the people who've shared. I can see there's already 8 shares. That will help. That will mean that GoFundMe see this as a successful campaign. They will promote it. They will put it in the search results. It will get more promotion if you just share it. So that helps, even if you can't necessarily financially support the campaign. But obviously that is the purpose of the campaign. So hopefully people will support the campaign. Excellent support so far, Nick.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's amazing, really is. Thank you so much.
I will do another quick shout out. So if you are, nobody's joined. I've done this. I've got more support financially than I have from guests of the actual show I run daily. You buggers. I'm not going to shout you out anymore. Right. If you do want to join and chat to me and Nick, I'll keep the show running a bit longer, so that hopefully we can have a bit of a chit chat, because Nick's a great guy and he's worthy of a bit of a chit chat with you. You really, really enthusiastic lot. So there is a link to this show in Skype if you do want to join to have a chat with us. Anybody who would want to join obviously is too busy having fun and contributing, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's funny though. Obviously, in the UK and the US or Europe in general, obviously flat Earth is a big deal because it's such a huge paradigm shift. But whereas in Asia, it's not. And this again has been able to help me, being based in Thailand, where they have a lunar calendar. And it's very precise. The seasons, there's no such thing as global warming going on because the seasons are still totally in sync with, the moon phases and the way that they are recognized with various festivals. So, of course, we all know that, in the past, we adhered to a lunar calendar as well. And another really fundamental realization for me in the whole globe model concept is that the heliocentric model was introduced, and it was comprised of a bunch of assumptions. Again, there was never ever any discovery of measurable curvature, nothing like that. The assumption was made because it had to be to have the Earth as another planet rotating around the sun in a heliocentric model. And the reason I believe that it was the heliocentric model was introduced at the time by, I suppose, the Catholic Church, Copernicus, and the big publicity machine and propaganda machine that would have been part of that at that time. I think at the same, was it the 1500s? I think the printing press was coming about at the same time. So what we had was this shift to the Gregorian calendar, a solar calendar. Up until then, we'd been using a lunar calendar or various other calendars, but there was this massive paradigm shift, and it was pushed, just as we've seen in the recent months, how quickly opinion, belief can be changed worldwide, not only on a national level, but you know what I'm talking about here with everything that's gone on, and this massive paradigm shift, a new normal, which for the most part people have kind of begrudgingly accepted. And of course, there's these small voices of that are with a lot of effort to silence them. So back then, what I believe we had was the introduction of the Gregorian calendar, the solar calendar, along with the heliocentric model, which really does nothing more than illustrate the passage of time. So all of that since then, the so-called scientific community that has been trying to prove the globe since then it's all about time. Of course, navigation became much better once time was measurable. So again, you had the church central to this, the clocks on the church towers and stuff. The first clocks, proper, town clocks or city clocks, were invented and created by the church. So again, they've been central to or the Catholic Church, at least, so these ruling institutions have been central to introducing the Gregorian calendar and a solar system model, heliocentric model, that again is really only about telling the time. So navigation is based on time, and so this, of course, gravity, the rate of acceleration being 9.8 meters per second or per second squared. Of course, this is because of the ability to more accurately measure time. And the same goes on when we talk about reconstructing the Eratosthenes experiment. And you hear the same old line always. Oh, well, Eratosthenes was only a few miles off and he was amazingly accurate because when we measure it these days, we get very similar results. I can't remember, he was only supposed to be a couple of 100 miles off or something like that. But the accuracy that people are talking about is, of course, just the accuracy of being the calculations or the measurements. So you can more accurately measure a shadow to a millimeter or a fraction of that. So that's where things have become more accurate, and you can really refine the calculations and get more after your decimal points. But that doesn't prove anything. You're still with that interpretation. It basically sticks in the ground, making shadows, and interpreting that as being on a spinning ball instead of being on a level surface with the sun going overhead, which works equally well. There is no, I think one of the major hurdles for many people to overcome is that nothing changes. Nothing, the Earth doesn't suddenly become flat when you saw it as curved. No one's ever seen a curve. The sun and the moon don't suddenly start doing different things, nor do the stars. It's all been very meticulously recorded and is, of course, predictable. And it is that predictability which allows for all manner of interpretations. Of course, we've just been given one. And it was, as I say, I think fundamentally it just comes down to this introduction of the heliocentric model, along with the introduction of the Gregorian solar calendar in order to keep time. And of course, in that respect, it's all commerce. Time is money. It really is. And so what we have is a commercial model and a global system. It's all very familiar, as you were saying, Nathan. This is just part of our vocabulary these days. The global economy. Yes, it is. It is a global economy. It's a construct, and it spins around all on its own, and the money goes round, the merry-go-round, and all that stuff. Great, it works as its own thing, but it's not our physical reality.
Right. It's something I've only just started to touch on, having I had it gone through intricately with me in terms of how to pay attention to what's going on in the sky and how it relates to what's going on around you, namely with the weather. And it was actually Stephen Chess that was showing me and actually publishing it to an audience, what he was looking at, how he was observing the cycles. And it's something that ever since I've sort of tried to get my wife to understand it in terms of, for example, about 10 days ago, she's like, well, the summer's over. I'm like, no. 10 days from now, it will be nice and sunny again. Here we are today. It's a beautiful day, right? Yeah. But I'm paying attention to what the moon's doing in terms of where it is in its cycle. And so are they. While it might be a financial system, they still pay people in big commerce on a lunar cycle, right?
Yeah, true.
An interesting aside.
Yeah.
I'd never thought about the gravity aspect that you discussed there. That's a new one on me. The fact that obviously it's being qualified in terms of time. And now we will bark on all day long on the debate about time being a concept, and even point out where they've derived that concept from with the movement of the sun. And again, Nick, kudos. You're very eloquent in terms of how you can detail these things and summarize them, better than I. But yeah, it's absolutely correct. It's all about the derivation of the time, and in terms of the sun and its movements and where the equator lies and everything else about the model, it's all been derived from those movements. So when they back engineer and use them as proof, it makes you want to slap them. It's like, that's where you've got it from in the first place. Circle jerkers.
Yeah, but of course, again, you can't see these things until you think about it. Yeah, my head was spinning for months, and it was just, I was in a daze. I really was, but because all these things are going through your head, I'm sure we've all been through it, and it's an exhilarating experience, because it's another period in your life, a period of discovery, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. This is wow, and you feel like a kid again.
I do. You do. You and I are very similar in this, Nick, and I know this already. It's a joyous experience. Wow, we don't know what the sky is. Wow, I wonder what it is. That's amazing, right? But not for everybody. Oh, no. Quite the contrary in many instances. What do you mean we don't know? Well, you must tell me immediately. I charge you with telling me.
And of course, I do understand that, I suppose one of the main questions that many of us might have is all these so-called trolls. Are they on the job? Are they paid? Or are they really defending their belief? I think, to be honest, it's a bit of both. But from personal experience, these conversations with someone who believes that anything you say is ridiculous because you're a flat earther, it's very difficult to actually get that person to truly understand what you're actually saying. And of course, often the conversation will end up being a whole bunch of questions, because you're trying to get that person to ask the questions of themselves that you or I asked of ourselves when we were, deconstructing this or reverse engineering the globe. And so, again, this is the kind of mindset that you have to have, or any truth seeker has. Again, you can have a very comfortable and happy conversation with someone who's they don't have to be a flat earther, but there's as long as that person is at some step on their own personal journey, then you can reach this kind of mutual understanding and respect. This is discovery, and we have been very ignorant, and we have been very believed that we have more knowledge than we actually do. These questions that you ask other people that we've already challenged ourselves with, of course, will feel as if that person will feel as if you're attacking them. And again, that's why I do feel that instinctively they will react and attack. And again, I understand that, but it's very difficult to point out to someone that you care about, that you just want to you want to share this with this journey. You want to, but it ends up becoming a fight because there isn't that empathy or sympathy on both sides. It's a shame.
Speaking of empathy and sympathy, so the reason for this stream today, and the reason for our fabulous guest, which is Nick from YouTube channel Phuket. No, I've said it wrong again. Phuket Word. We'll get there once, I promise. So Nick from YouTube channel Phuket Word has been trapped here in the UK for the last 8 months, and there is a financial barrier stopping him from going back to his family and his wife and 5 kids. So this is hopefully going to alleviate that. That's what this stream is all about. So there is a currently running GoFundMe campaign for Nick to get him home, and he details precisely why he's running the campaign, so you can hopefully empathise with him and realise that being away from your family for that period of time when you've got kids is not fun, and makes it all that much more real for me personally. So when this was told to me yesterday evening in Iron Realm Media, shout out to those guys in their chat room, I was left cold and wanted to do something about it immediately. So I put a call to arms out to all of my subscribers, and for the last 12 hours I've been whipping Nick, getting him to do things that he may not necessarily have wanted to do as quickly as he's done them. But dutifully, actually, give you props, Nick. I've done this process with several other people, and like that, you've just done precisely what I've literally told you to do. Even though I'm a fairly abrupt taskmaster, you've just done it and got on with it, and I'm very grateful for that, because the campaign is running extremely successfully. So first and foremost, a massive shout out to everyone who has supported the campaign to date. Big props to all of you guys, because it's well over halfway, and there's been several people who've donated in the last few minutes. So I'll shout those guys out first, and then reiterate the point of this stream, and then we'll carry on chit-chatting with Nick. We might get a few of the guests in our G Plus hangout, which is yet to be populated, completely vacant currently. Hopefully we'll get some regulars in to discuss this campaign and discuss a bit of flat earth with us as well. So shout out to the anonymous donor who dropped $25 in the last few minutes. Thank you very much indeed. And another anonymous donor who dropped $40 woo in the last couple of minutes. So thank you very much indeed. So just to reiterate, this is a Get Nick Home-a-thon campaign, and the purpose of this stream is to hopefully raise some money to get Nick back, get him into his horrible sniffly testing facility or whatever that hotel will be, all of it costing money, which is unfortunate, but there we go. That's a barrier that hopefully me, my audience, and you, basically everyone who is watching right now. That being said, if you are watching this after the fact and you're not watching this live, there is a pinned comment and information box have both got the links to the GoFundMe campaign, which may or may not be be still running or needing contributions. That said, even if you do reach target, I was going to say to you after you told me what you wanted to raise, I was like, well, you might want to put other expenses on there because there's going to be other things that just pop up. I know it from experience, but you didn't. You put basically the bare bones of what you hope to achieve. Hopefully, at the very least, you'll get that, and then I can feel confident that you're going to be winging your way back home. So that's the purpose of the campaign. So smash the what's the word? The GoFundMe link in the chat box, or if you're not watching live, in the chat comments below the video. If you can't afford to contribute, which is perfectly acceptable, there's no obligation to anybody, obviously, to help Nick get home. But if you can share it, that would be just as good. So smash the share button. There is obviously various different social media sharing platforms, but that helps the algorithm. So it does actually help GoFundMe know that the campaign's going well if it's getting a few shares. So at the very least, if you can't necessarily afford to support the campaign financially, obviously that's the purpose of the campaign. So yeah, first and foremost, if you can support it financially, please do, even if you only give a couple of bucks. It all really does help. So yeah, I'll just refresh this while I'm babbling on about the purpose of the campaign, see if there is anybody who has actually contributed while I've been chatting away. And there is. Is that another one? No, 25, 40. No, I think those both got shouted out, did they not? Yes, they did. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a few more contributions before this live stream ends. How long this live stream ends depends entirely on how long Nick and I can keep chatting away to you guys in the population of the audience. So yeah, that's my shout out bit, Nick done. You'll find that happens a few more times.
Oh yeah, again, really, really fantastic. It's just yeah, it's it's so difficult to know when you put out these videos, and obviously I know a lot of people watch and don't comment, and of course often the people that do comment, there are a few familiar faces or handles, but of course you always get a lot of very negative comments, and it's such a shame. I must admit, I was naive at first. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when again we're talking about that exhilarating feeling, that absolutely, that oh my God, this is the biggest thing ever, and then I naively thought that as soon as people are made aware of how we've been misled to believe in a model rather than reality, then job done. Everyone would just wake up. But here we are, 5 years later, still arguing the same arguments with those who wish to argue. And it's so I was just saying I was naive at first, and possibly that's something that we've all felt. And of course, you put the videos out there, you say things which to ourselves, to me, they rocked. Just for example, realization that the globe is a religious, or the belief in the globe and the heliocentrism is just like any other religion, and so is atheism. All these labels and beliefs are all the same in that respect, and so that to me that was a massive realization. And I remember doing a video on my balcony about this and trying to explain that we've been born into this congregation, and we've become born as members of this congregation, but unwittingly so, and to have that realization that of the culture that we were raised in, and just like escaping from any kind of other cult, then it is amazingly difficult. You're tainted with worry. It's stressful. You get cold sweats. You get nervous. Again, all these aspects of fear come up, but there is still the foundation is this realization and knowing. And that's not to say that one knows the answer or knows the truth. All that is known is that we have believed in something, and it's felt very, very real. And for the most part, no need to question it. But then, of course, when you do, with help from outside, of course, one of the most difficult things to do is to extract yourself from a cult while you're in it.
Yeah, that's the front lines of what we deal with. The people who vehemently oppose the fact that we challenge their cult, and they want to come and chant the cult faith at us.
This is it. It's not about converting people. It's not about, I don't want people to become flat earthers. I don't want people to agree with me. I don't want any of that. I just want people to be free, because, this whole thing, it is so important, because, we come into this world. There is no rule book. Our parents don't have a rule book, but of course and so we are. But just imagine if the whole point, of course, let me just kind of backtrack a little bit. I suppose there's two ways you can look at it. From the atheist, Big Bang, heliocentric model idea, the fundamental belief there is that along came this physical thing, and we are here because the Earth somehow materialized by accident. So yeah, we're all an accident. But of course, the other way you can look at it, again, pragmatically, not with any adherence to any kind of belief, but the alternative to that is that we are here because we are supposed to be. And so what if...
You're almost describing the ontological primitives. So we are here because the nature of the reality we inhabit has been born out of nothing. That's the actual rhetoric of the Big Bang. And then the other ontological primitive is that we were created. Well, the first ontological primitive, everything was born out of nothing, nature created itself, violates the first law of thermodynamics.
Right.
So what you're left with, we were created.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we, to define a beginning and an end is impossible. It's beyond anything that we can really truly comprehend. We can perceive it to an extent, infinity, eternity, and all that. But of course, in this material world, then the only thing that we are familiar with is a start, middle, and end. Infinity isn't part of our experience here. So, yeah. So, I mean, again, what if, for example, as was known by the ancients, again, through the stars, looking at the stars, and what if the position of the stars when we are born is hugely significant to how our life will be? What if there is a book, there is a rule book or a guidebook for the game of life that we're playing on this earth, where it would be known what your character is, rather like playing Dungeons and Dragons. You're a wizard or an elf or a whatever. Your character has a description and it's written in the rule book. So what if the day, the time, and the planetary alignments when we are born could determine what kind of life we're going to have, what kind of person, what kind of role we are going to play in this life, not necessarily to predict the future, not this kind of crystal ball that says, you're going to do this on a particular date, but generally how you as a person with a personality will go through life. And imagine if we were all given that from a young age. We would have so much more confidence, and we wouldn't have to adopt models. We would just, and this is what I find with the Buddhist or the Asian culture, there is, no matter, even with the calendars and all that very accurate timekeeping, there is never any attempt to say that the earth is a particular place in space. Or do you know what I mean? It's that's left as being esoteric because it's understood that it's unanswerable. There's no point in going there trying to discover these things. All we are supposed to do while we are on this earth is have a journey, and it will be a journey of discovery. And perhaps if the premise is that we are here because we are meant to be, because we are supposed to have an experience for whatever reason that might be, then it fundamentally changes everything, absolutely everything about everything we are attached to, everything we believe in, everything, the way we think, the way we lead our lives, the jobs, the corporate culture, all of that stuff. All of this has been constructed as a false, essentially a false reality that has very little to do with being human. Yet it is so real, because we find ourselves in this, do you know what I mean? Thoughts, beliefs, and money, even though it's abstract, and time become something that we feel is very tangible and very, very real. But it's all just in our heads. And sorry, if I can just very kind of briefly expand on that. And just recently with this lockdown, being stuck here on my own, kind of isolated, away from my family, I've had time to think and reflect. And it's been, so, there have been some very dark moments, but again, to go through that has been therapeutic, because ultimately I've now reached this kind of core understanding and I suppose surrender or acceptance that me, or I, is all a bunch of thoughts. It's all an identity that's been formed. And although it appears and feels very, very real, and we can get stressed and angry or whatever it might be, we react to these different things. This is all going on in the head, which is separate to the inner life force, the soul, the consciousness. So there is consciousness driving the powering or energizing this body, and then there is the mind doing its thing. They are, of course, connected, but they are separate. So you have the body doing its thing, you have the mind, but then you have the soul, and that connection with consciousness, the life force, or even, if you want to call it, God, Earth, everything, all the energy. We're all connected in that way. So that's a very powerful realization. It's all very well talking about it or listening to various gurus and this and that and the other, but there comes a point when one is forced to really sit with that and see it for what it is. That the Trinity, maybe that's what is referred to as the Holy Trinity. I don't know, but that's what I see now. Is I see consciousness having an experience, and that experience it all happens in the mind. And as long as we have that awareness of the trilogy, the three things going on there, the mind in the body, but also with a driving spirit, then this gives us clarity and more grounding. Well, certainly that's how it's felt for me in the past few weeks, because of the isolation, because of being separated from my family, and having that time to reflect and just go through, that more of that. It's never ending. We don't stop learning. This is the wonderful thing.
That's actually,
there is so much more to learn.
Well, that's a perfect segue, because we've been joined by a couple of guests who I'm going to introduce in just a few seconds. But I'll also, more importantly, reiterate to the audience the purpose of this stream, because let's just see how many people are actually watching, see if we've got any more than we did the last time I did the shout out. Yeah, there's a few more people watching now, so people may not be aware why I've got Nick as such a wonderful guest today. It's because Nick is trapped here with us in the UK. Now, while I love the UK dearly, he's not actually from here. He's got a family out in Thailand who have been missing him for the last 8 months. So having found this out yesterday, I've convinced Nick to very swiftly set up a GoFundMe campaign. It's already had tremendous support, but I think this may be the last push, maybe one or two more plugs. We'll see how we go on. But hopefully we can do a bit more of a push while we are actually live. And if you are watching this live, please smash the link, which is in the comment section. It's in the live chat pinned. It's also in the information box. But hopefully we can raise the funds to get Nick back to his family. If indeed you can't afford to actually contribute in that way, that's perfectly acceptable. There is no obligation whatsoever anyway for anybody to contribute, although lots of people have. Very kind of you. Please smash the share button on the campaign. So get it into your social media. That is almost as effective because it generates more interest, which inevitably generates more funds for the campaign. So Nick is trapped here, and we're hopefully going to get him out of this bind. I know we are a fantastic community. You guys out there watching have already got the campaign well over halfway, so that is precisely what we're going to push to hopefully get even closer to the end target, and that is precisely why we are running this stream. So I'll forego the rest of the drawn out plug for the GoFundMe campaign. Obviously, if you're watching and have been from the start, you know that that's precisely what we're doing. But if you've just got here, that's the reason for this stream. So smash the GoFundMe link. If nothing else, share the GoFundMe link. Share this show. Hopefully the increase of the audience will get more people to share the GoFundMe link and hopefully contribute as well. So massive shout out once again to everyone who's already supported the campaign. And from this point, we're going to go and introduce a couple more people. Nick, if that's good by you. We've got a couple of guests who are hopefully waiting to chat about Flat Earth with us. So hello, Brian, and hello,
lovely. Yeah.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, Nick. How are things?
Hey, Brian. Hi.
And hello, 10th Man.
Hi.
Hey, 10th Man. Oh, let me just try and get back on the page there so I can just put back onto the channel page there and seen that Darth face.
Oh, you're paying attention to the peanut gallery. Yeah, that it would have been the case that was going to be the next move, right? So I had that prompted too. But fortunately for us, we've got Brian and 10th Man to talk to. So we don't have to go to the chat for the last section.
Check.
Hey, mate. Hey, 10th Man, we hear you.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. Lots of weird technical issues today. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Oh, wonderful. Now, yeah, this is amazing. Yeah. So
yeah, I was going to bed last night and I saw Nathan's first attempt to alert everybody, and he looks like he woke up from the sleep when he was doing it. And I said, oh, okay, so, and then this morning I got a house full of people, and then I see there's this live show going on. So I'm glad to be here and willing to help you get back home to your family, my friend.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. It's it's wonderful. As I said, this is great to see such wonderful. It's heartwarming. I'm lost for words at the moment.
No, you do the same, my friend. You do the same to your friends. That's the kind of person you come across on your videos, and it's just your turn for help, and you got a group of people that are willing to help you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, that is the way I see it. I mean, this is ultimately we're all trying to help each other, right? We're just trying to help make sense of this place.
Yeah, but more important, we got to get you back home to your family. That's the point.
Yeah.
You can help us better when you're together.
Yeah. You just reminded me. I mean, because my wife watched me go through all this. Nathan, I don't know if you've been tuning in from the start, but we were talking about, the kind of the process, and because my wife watched me go through this, and then eventually one day she said, well, so, okay, you finally worked it out, yeah? Because for her, there was, the globe was not, I remember the first time we went to a movie theater, when we were courting, I took her to see, I can't remember what the movie was, but it was one of those movies where there was a shot of the globe. And she said, what's that? I said, well, that's the Earth. Of course, I was, years away from being a flat earther then, but of course, I was proudly telling her all about, the globe science and all that. And she's like, well, it didn't, for her, it was totally alien. The globe was an alien concept.
So she was there before you.
Yeah. Because again, for her, she's raised in the Buddhist culture, and we're talking about, as we were talking about the lunar calendar, and the moon and the sun, they are there. They've got a job to do, They tell us certain things about the seasons, but that's it. There is no attempt to try and define it beyond that, because it's already known that, well, it's impossible to really know.
Well, it sounds like she knew they were just timepieces in the sky for us, made for us.
Yes. Yeah.
But
So,
now we
it's
find
funny.
you a world apart,
Go on,
so we
sorry.
got to get you back.
I think this is the first time I've spoken with Nick. I've been following you since whenever you first started the channel. I think it was 2015.
Yeah.
But I was following you since then. But you mostly made videos. You didn't go on to hangouts as much. I heard you on Nathan's before, with, speaking on Nathan's, but it was just kind of sparsely. You were in and out kind of thing. But on the lunar calendar, that works so much better. It's so much more natural because the moon goes by a month, a 28-day month. Why any monthly calendar would have anything to do with anything but the moon is beyond me. Right. It's such a better, more workable system.
Yeah. As I said, and it doesn't, and it, as far as I'm concerned, it still keeps perfect time. Yeah.
But it means there's 13 months, not 12.
Right.
That's what it means. They have to change it to 12. It's actually 13 months.
Yeah.
And being pregnant takes 10 months now, not 9. In reality, it's actually closer. It's actually 10 months of pregnancy.
Okay. Right. Right. Yeah. Almost a year. Yeah.
Yeah. But Eric DeBay actually made a really good video on the lunar calendar about 8 months ago or more, 9 months ago, and it was really, really good. And I don't because I'm flat Earth since 2015. I wouldn't be watching everything that I would see from Eric DeBay. At this stage, I would have back then, but it's like, but I'd still watch bits and pieces that he might put out, because he's a smart fella. But the video he made was really, really good. He did such a fantastic job on it because he's such a good delivery. His delivery during a video is very good. He could take information that someone else could use in a video, and they wouldn't be able to get the same impact that he's able to do. But he was able to take this information and he laid it out. He knew you could tell he was at the really doing his homework, and he laid out the whole video, and it was absolutely epic. But I went looking for it recently on his channel, and I can't find it. I can't find it. It's gone. But it was an excellent video on the subject.
Yeah, well, that's because his channel's been wiped out and he's now re-uploading. He did a massive chunk, but obviously he had so much material after his channel was wiped out for his anti-Semitic behaviour that he's had to then start fresh, because he was at like 120,000 subscribers. I think he's at something like 60 now, about half that.
Right, yeah.
But there we go.
Yeah, hadn't been following. I think I do remember.
Did that happen in recent months? Like, go on, Nick. Sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, I was just saying. I think I do remember that video. But yeah, you're right. It's very difficult to find these days. Yeah.
I'm going to cut you both off. I'm really sorry. Just for the audience's benefit, because this is a GoFundMe fund, though. We're having chit-chatting away about Eric DeBay and his channel. So this excellent guest is Nick, which is YouTube channel Phuket Word. Said it correctly. PHUKETWORD. And Phuket Words is because Nick's background in newspapers, so like the newspaper title, Phuket Words, that's the idea. But anyway, that's his YouTube channel. He's stuck here in the UK and has been for the last 8 months, separated from his family, and there is a financial barrier between him getting home. So basically, that's why we've set up this campaign, or Nick has set up this campaign, and I'm promoting it, and that is precisely the reason for this stream. So if nothing else, if you can, share the campaign. So there is a share button. Go to that share button. Go to one of your social media platforms. If you can't afford to contribute, that's reasonable. Obviously, there is no obligation whatsoever for anybody to contribute to Nick getting home. But by the same token, as a concerned member of the Flat Earth community, and Nick being a dedicated member of that same community, I want to get him home. So that's why I'm doing it, and hopefully people will feel the same and want to contribute to getting Nick on his way back to his family. Beautiful that they are. So, give large. I don't know what the words are when you encourage people to actually give the money. Give him money. Smash the donate button. If you do, set the tip to 0, so you're not giving a chunk to the campaign itself. Just set it to other and then set it to 0. That's the only advice when you're actually contributing. There was recently somebody who gave some money, so I will shout those out immediately. Oh wow, several people have actually donated in the last few minutes. So first and foremost, where did we get to last time? Dave Gafford. So massive shout out to you, and Brian Longeran. I don't know if I shouted you out before, but you're going to get another shout out. There was an anonymous contributor at $25. So big shout out to Dave Gafford, woo 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 woo, who's dropped £100 onto the campaign. So wow, a big shout out, taking us much closer to the end target. And also Tyrone Bowen. Massive shout out to you as well for dropping $10 on the campaign. Really appreciate it. Up to 32 people who've contributed to this campaign so far. Now, we are obviously currently live if you're in the live stream. Thank you very much for joining us. Share the show. Hopefully that'll increase the numbers of people listening to, if nothing else, the wonderful flat earth information that we are discussing between 10th Man, Brian's Logic, and Phuket Word, otherwise known as Nick, the main reason for this campaign. So give big, give large, whatever the phraseology is, and yeah, that's the purpose of the campaign. Share it if you can do nothing else, and yeah, I may shout out the campaign a little bit more, but we're like, I don't know, what's that? A good chunk into the campaign, £1,412 of £2,000 raised. Fantastic. Thank you very much to everyone watching.
Absolutely amazing.
I'm stuck in the car here. I can't see anything, and I'm on my phone. So what's the goal? What's the total goal we're trying to raise?
£2,000. There's an itemised list on the campaign itself about what that's actually going to be spent on, so you can see precisely why this huge expense has come up. The people watching will know. I'll speak directly to them. If you're watching, you know why there's a huge expense, right? We're all in a COVID lockdown situation. This isn't exactly hidden. It's fairly obvious why. So, everyone's going to have some empathy. I'm sure there's several people in the audience that think, yeah, I'll toss him a couple of bucks if it helps. It will definitely. Hey, Martin, as well. Long time no see.
Yes, me. Hi, Nathan, brother.
Oh, hi, Martin.
I just come to see you. I love it when you do stuff like this, Nathan. I just love it.
It's fun. The show's fun. It's just a shame under the circumstances. It'd be much better if Nick was just making his flat Earth videos and putting bottles of ketchup in Thailand.
Surely.
And you're only across the bridge, man. But haven't gotten over to see you yet, mate.
Don't worry. Things are strange, aren't they? So don't worry. I'm always moving about anyway. I never know where I am. But all's good. All's good. It's good to be on you, Nathan. Been a while.
I was going to ask, 10th Man and Brian. I mean, it's has all this been worth it? I mean, the whole, whether it's the flat Earth debate and all this, all this effort, this drive. We all know why we're doing it. What positive results have you seen from all of this, as far as growing awareness?
Who first, me or Brian?
Do you want me or Ted? Do you want to go first? I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Ted.
Go on, man.
No, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead. You got it. I'll follow.
All right, Brian. Well, what I'd say is one of the panel members, he might come in or he might not, Chocolate saying, only recently his girlfriend's daughter, she's only, I think, 11 or 9 or something like that. And her teacher wanted her to do a project that involved the globe. Okay. And he doesn't teach her, he doesn't teach his girlfriend's children flat earth stuff. He doesn't go down that road. He keeps that separate from them or whatever. But they know they know he's a flat earther or whatever. But he doesn't have conversations with them about it and all this. But she was in school, and she told the teacher, "No, I'm not doing all that. That's a load of rubbish. The earth is not a globe." And she didn't get it from him. And he was like, "What?" And there had to be a meeting, like a video call meeting and all that with the teacher. And she just didn't want to do it. I think she was forced to do it once. And then when the second time something happened and she didn't do it proper because she didn't like it, she didn't want that to do with it. And the second time around, she just said, "Look, no, I'm not doing this. It's not real. It's not a globe. This is nonsense."
Wow.
You know, so a positive thing is there's children as young as her in the world who are going, no, that's a load of nonsense, but because they're not after getting indoctrinated by the system yet. You know, that kind of way. Our system didn't indoctrinate them yet. You know, that kind of way.
Right. Oh, that's
So
amazing.
That's a positive. You can see that 10, 15 years time, like there's going to be a very different shift in numbers of who believes in what. You know, that kind of way. Okay, that's my story.
I just wanted to say a quick hello. We've got a new guest, Nick. So, hey, Arwen.
Hello, good afternoon.
Very good to have
Good
you.
afternoon, Owen.
Hey, Armin. Hey, man.
Well, a live Saturday show is so unique. I have to be there, of course.
Very special.
And you didn't ever block me, did you? It was Nick L.
Really rushing it.
Oh, there could be some drama on this stream. What was that, Nick?
What?
No, I saw yesterday in Nathan's thing, there was some comment from you, Arwin, about like you blocked Nick, but it was another Nick. Or I know there was some confusion about.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was Nick L. I was like, what? Nathan, are you seriously
but I don't know who Nick L is anyway, so that was kind of like weird.
There's a chat troll that goes by the name Nick L. And the confusion, it just amused me. I let it roll. It just, I thought I could play it out a little bit more, the drama that isn't really existing, but it didn't play out that way. Oh, well.
You know, it would be good to kind of send Nick L on a plane and then just force that plane to use a program where there's going to be a dip angle.
That's a good point. You know, we might have had just as much success on the fundraiser sending that chat troll on a plane also.
Oh, wow, that took a turn.
Right.
So I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but just because it is that exact reason that we are here all today, so I'm going to do another quick shout out. So the reason, if you've just joined us, there is an ever increasing audience, which is excellent. Please share the show. Is to raise money to get Nick home, and the campaign has just increased again. So there's a few more people that need shout outs, so I'm going to do that straight away. If it's not already obvious, the purpose is to get Nick back to Thailand, to Phuket, with his 5 kids and wife, who have been waiting patiently for the last 8 months, separated. So I'm sure you can all empathise with Nick. It's not a nice situation. He described it to me as being like a prison sentence. If that doesn't put it into context, I don't know what will. But massive shout out to, who did we get it to last time? Dave Gafford, Tyrone, Bowen, thank you very much. Mark Hitchin, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much indeed for the $10. And also, is it... I can't read that. My lights. Let's just see if I can read it with my lights off. Raleen, Liddy, thank you very much indeed for the $75. Really appreciate your support.
Is that Raleen Liddle? Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank God you're here. Butchering every one of these names. I should have thought about this before I set the stream up, of having a legible way of reading them, but nevertheless it's good enough. So Nick needs to get his way back to his 5 kids, and we are getting ever closer to actually reaching the target, which, to be fair, has never been done on a live stream, so I don't get your hopes up, Nick. I don't know if I've achieved that yet, but then again, based on the support thus far, you know, we're going to be rounding it out relatively soon, maybe after a couple of hours. So it's been an hour and 3/4 thus far, so you might hear me shout out the purpose of the stream once more before we do round out the stream. But in the meantime, that is the purpose of actually doing the stream. So if you can, at the very least, share the GoFundMe campaign. There is links to the GoFundMe campaign in the info box and in the live stream chat and in the comments. So just go to the campaign and click on a Facebook link if you can't actually contribute financially, although that is actually the purpose. So hopefully you can at least bear a couple of bucks to hopefully get Nick winging his way home to his family. So that's enough plugs from me. Thank you very much to everyone who's smashed the GoFundMe so far.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for me. And there will be many more thanks. I obviously keep people updated on what's going on and the process. It's a very long, it's just very complicated. But yeah.
There's one other thing I need to plug, Nick. So if you are watching this on a not live re-up or whatever, so there will be a re-up of this on the Nathan Oakley channel, and it may very well be the case that the campaign is still running. So obviously, if you are watching this after the fact, don't just assume that the campaign is now over because it's not live anymore. There may still be a link. That said, we may actually reach the target. We're doing really well. Far better than I expected, Nick. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, and quick.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. You know, I'm
It's actually, it is and it isn't. You did precisely what I told you to do when I told you to do it. And I said after the fact, I was like, this will be a successful campaign because you've just done what I told you to do. Now, without being disrespectful, you're like, you responded well to me cracking the whip.
Oh,
but it's a magic whip, Nathan.
Go on.
You told me to start the early bird show when I did, too. And yeah, things are working out great. So when Nathan says you gotta do something, even if at the time it seems like a big hassle or doesn't make any sense at all, just do it. Just do it.
What a great cheerleader Arwen's been for me today. That $2 I sent you over PayPal was obviously well worth it. Did you get some coffee?
Yes.
Excellent. You caffeined up, ready to roll, singing my praises.
What about you? What about you, or anyone else? Kind of got anything to kind of say about the positive ramifications that have come about? To be honest, I worry about the millennials because everything's been so easy and they don't have this idea of privacy. It's all a very instant kind of gratification kind of culture that they've been brought up in. But you know, you guys, you're there, or you're always there on debate, and how has it? I think there was recently you did have a chat with a guy that had kind of gone from being a hardcore Glober to realizing that he was just arguing for a concept. Is that quite?
Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Yeah, but
it is.
That was just wonderful to hear someone open up and be honest. And he even mentioned how, you know, for months he was on the defensive, and it took this massive, long, drawn out process of being, you know, by however many of you press ganged him into kind of like being honest with himself. But what was beautiful about listening to that person was the honesty, the frankness, the openness, and that's all I think any of us want to do, isn't it? When we have a conversation, we don't want to argue, we don't want to fight. It would be just wonderful to have that open, honest, frank discussion. And when those foundations are there, it's so much more productive. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I sang his praises because the thing that stuck out to me was when he actually said, it's down to me, it's my fault, I didn't do enough research, I didn't recognise where I've been deceived, I didn't look into it enough. It's like, yeah, I've been singing that for ages on the show. It's like, is it actually a lie when the information we expose on the debate is their rhetoric from their priests in their words? That's what's undoing the lie? Well, no, it wasn't actually a lie, it was a model we reified. Well, that's on us.
Yeah. So have you got any idea of how long that actually took him to get to that point?
I think I had a show with him when he was fighting for the Globe, and I titled it Tommy Was a Globehead about 18 months ago. So it could be the case that it's taken him that long. It certainly seems that way.
Okay. Wow.
Some people fight it for a long period and have got something to hold on to the Globe for. I often speculate that it's skeletons in the closet because of what we discussed earlier with the ontological primitives. So there's consequences if we're created, right? That is the next step of the contemplation of that realization. Well, that might, if you have skeletons in your closet, be something you definitely don't want. You're going to fight for the nihilistic Globe model, right?
Yeah, we've all got them. We've all got demons and skeletons, and yeah, I think again, it's part of that process. Is you know, even for some celebrity that suddenly gets exposed in the media for all their, you know, trashiness or whatever it might be, you know, this suffering that's why we're here. There's, you know, we're gonna go through it. We're gonna go through. What other reason are we here for other than to have some manic experiences that will somehow teach us something or help us evolve in a spiritual way rather than this kind of physical evolution we've been taught to believe in? Surely evolution is the learning that we do while we're here. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, evolution of the spirit, not of the body.
Yes, that's what I mean, yeah.
hopefully we can hear from each of the panel members, because then I'll do one last plug for the purpose of the show, and then we'll hear some last comments from Nick himself. And obviously I'll thank all of you guys for watching the show. But Martin, if you can get to your mute button, hopefully we'll get some comments from you, maybe about Nick and his situation, or about Flat Earth in general, anything we've discussed. Hopefully you're there. If not, we'll ask Brian. Are you there, Martin?
Yeah, man, I'm here, Nathan. Just been hanging around listening with you guys.
Any opinions, comments? Go ahead, feel free. The mic's all yours, Martin.
No, I'm just glad somebody's done something. It's been on my mind for months with Nick, you know. It's heartbreaking for him all these years and then dragged away from his family because of this insanity. So, yeah, really, really pleased that this is happening. It must be really exciting, Nick, for you, you know, you're going to see him again soon, you know. That's going to be really cool for you. Yeah. Something to look forward to, man. Buzzing for you, brother, buzzing.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, likewise. It's really amazing. You know, amazing sudden turnaround in a very short time.
Like that, click of a finger. You know, a couple of hours, and you know, now you're doing something else. It's just brilliant. So happy.
Mad props to you, Martin, for joining. It's that I wanted. I wanted to show the people who are watching the support internally, because that's that's important too, to show that you guys are here for him. And Martin, obviously, we're good friends. People don't know that. Martin's very rarely on the show. He's not interested in that particular aspect of what I do, but we're good mates, you know. But to see you on the show, I really appreciate you coming. I thank you so much, Martin.
No worries, Nathan. I am here anyway, always. I do tune in, and I am here in spirit and stuff. But yeah, I was listening to what you were saying earlier about Flat Earth United, and was just reminiscing, you know, them days of how exciting it all was, and the energy. It was just fantastic time for us guys, you know.
Them were the days, the crappy fuzzy camera and the scratchy
2050,
microphone.
the year of adrenaline.
Yeah, and you know it, Arwin. We were so excited every single day. It was just fabulous time.
Perfect, Martin. Thank you again. Arwin, as you were next, can we get some comments from you, and then we'll get 10th Man and Brian?
No, well, I'm part of the Flat Earth debates for a long time. Yeah, it's really good to see that a guy like Phuket Word, which I do recognize the name. You know, I know he's been around for a long time. Like probably even in 2015, 2016, I recognize the name from way back. So I know he's been around and he's stuck around. And yeah, to then hear that you're separated from such a nice looking family, like that photo is like a real joy to look at. Looks like your family has a lot of fun, and that's good, you know. And yeah, that's just bizarre that you would be caught up in a situation where you just can't even be with your family anymore. So I definitely support this effort that Nathan has made here with the GoFundMe to get you back with your family.
Oh, thank you, Owen. That's that's very nice. It's very nice of you. Yeah.
This has turned out really cheesy. Like, we're like, oh, isn't it great? Isn't Nick wonderful? Yeah, bollocks to all that. He's just separated from his family and we want to get him home. So if anyone's sitting to this thinking, God, bring on the cheesy violins, vomit. Yeah, well, screw you.
Yeah, for 500 euros extra, we'll para-drop him in.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody wanting to throw up, piss off. Right, 10th Man, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I'll play a small violin while you... It's not a eulogy.
Well,
I've
watched Nick for a while now, and I've commented on his show, so I feel a connection with him. So when I heard that he was without his loved ones, I mean, my heart broke too when I first heard you broadcasted last night for me, and so it's obvious we got to help. I mean, if you got a heart and you have a family, and you've ever been apart from your family, you know how it is, and I know I've been that way, and so it is a joy and a pleasure to help my friend Nick to get back home. That's why I'm here. And as soon as I get off, I'll contribute. So yes, and plus even contribute a little bit more than the gold, because you got to eat on the plane. So those prices went up.
I was going to say, it's got expenses, man. $2,000's not going to get you much. It's just going to cover the bare bones. But as long as we get to that target, I mean, I don't know if we'll get it on this live stream, but that's why I've fortunately had the forethought and said, if you are watching this after the fact, there may very well be a link to the campaign still running. So that's a minor little shout out. But obviously, while we are still live, which we are, if you can smash the link or the share button in the link to the GoFundMe campaign, then that's greatly appreciated also. So last but by no means least, Brian, you got any last comments before I plug the GoFundMe campaign, thank Nick, get his comments, and then round out for the live show?
Yeah. 4 more hours. I thought this was going to go on all day. I thought you're getting started. It's like, this is going to be awesome. We're going to be at this till the 7 in the evening. No, it's good. It's good that we can help Nick bypass all the absolute nonsense that's going on at the moment and help him get back home to his family. So it's a good thing that's happening. And I hope it all happens and all happens well and everything goes good. I don't know what else to say about it. Just, it was a success.
Perfect. Any chance you guys can hang around after I have ended the live stream? We will chat a bit afterwards if that's good by you guys. Are you all good with that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Nick, I really want a video of you returning back to your family. You know, we want proof you're actually back with your family.
Of course. I mean, you know, I mean, coming back here, I haven't been able to do many videos because my equipment is mostly over there. The intention was to come back here and try and carry on working online, but it was only going to be a kind of brief visit, and obviously, you know, that it just didn't happen. So yeah, I've been that's why I've tried doing videos on the beach and things, and it's kind of, I mean, the beach here is not really a beach; it's just pebbles and mud. But the signal's rubbish, and I just don't. So it's not easy to keep on doing those videos. Obviously, I've just been focused on trying to get work and things. But sure. I mean, this is and this just this has made me realize just how important. I mean. This is that this information is shared, and this way of approaching and considering our reality is shared, and so many people have done so much work in their own individual way to contribute to this massive pool of knowledge and yes, an awakening. I'm under no illusions that the entire world is going to wake up. This is, to be honest, this might be how it always has been, that there's always going to be this struggle. But all of us here now, whether you're on the chat or listening, we all know about this struggle with life in general and just everything else, and just trying to discover who we are. And it should be an amazing journey of discovery. And this just, as I'm saying, this right now is just showing, it's kind of, this is just proof that, wow, this struggle is kind of, there are, I don't know how I don't know how to kind of put this into words, but it's something wonderful and magical has come about right now in this moment from all those years of struggling to try and just help wake people up.
I'm going to come back to you in just a moment for your final words before I round out this live stream. And I'll say now, if you're watching this on a premiering stream, stay tuned as we will be chatting a little bit after the live stream is over. But just to reiterate the purpose of this stream, this is a Get Nick Home-a-thon. So the purpose of the stream is to hopefully raise the funds to get Nick back to his wife and 5 kids out in Phuket, Thailand. So massive shout out to everyone, obviously, who has supported the campaign already. Really, really, really appreciate it. There's been 34 donators so far. Obviously, if you can't afford to support financially, which is perfectly understandable. There is no obligation for any of you to support, or any of you who have supported. There was no obligation, but thank you very much to those of you who have. But yeah, if you can smash the share button, that would be equally as useful. It does help this campaign get promoted by GoFundMe and reach the search results, etc., etc. So if you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever the social platforms that are offered by the campaign itself, in the campaign itself, that does help the algorithm, etc., etc., etc. So obviously, the main purpose is to actually get you to contribute to Nick's endeavour. So if you can, smash the link and give a couple of bucks to help Nick get his way home. He's well on the way. The target is £2,000. He's almost up to £1,500 already just from the span of this live stream. So once again, a huge, massive thank you. I'll do one more refresh just in case anybody has actually. Oh, wow. Good job I did. There's been a couple of other people who've contributed. So let's shout those people out as well. I'll give them a quick shout out. Hopefully we'll hear Nick's ums and ahs while I'm doing so. Okay, so a massive shout out to where were we up to last time? Anonymous at £20, Julio Pabon at £75. Woo woo! Shout out to Julio Pabon. Thank you very much indeed for the contribution on GoFundMe. Really, really appreciate it. And also Sharon Watson. So thank you very much indeed for your £20 contribution. So 36 people just while this live stream has been running have all contributed. So what I'm going to do now, before I turn my lights out, hopefully I'm going to, just for the amusement of the audience, if nothing else, butcher all of these names, but I'm going to shout every single person out who has contributed to the campaign before I round out the live show. Once again, stay tuned if you are watching on a premiering stream, because there's a good chance the campaign's still running, so we'll shout it out maybe while we're chatting in the after show. So shout out to Chris. I'm going to say your first names, so that's going to make it a lot easier. So Chris, thank you very much indeed. JQ and the anonymous contributors, all three of you. Daniel, thank you very much indeed. Alan, David, really appreciate your support. The other anonymous contributor, thank you very much indeed. The other David, Karen, in that instance, anonymous contributor, thank you very much indeed. Sean, woo woo, thank you very much indeed. William, APM Research, really appreciate the support. Chief Brody, thank you very much indeed. Jeremiah, Alan, thank you. Henrik, really appreciate your support. Michael, John D, Julio Pabon, Red Pill Philosophy, Steve Gardner, Silent Zero, Dinosaur Falcon, all of you, thank you so much. Janice, really appreciate it. The other anonymous couple, really appreciate your support. Brian, thank you very much indeed. Dave, thank you very much indeed. Tyrone, Mark, and oh god,
Raylene.
How do you say it?
Raylene Little.
Raylene, thank you very much indeed. As to the anonymous contributor, another one to Julio Pabon and Sharon Watson. Riri. Oh God. Thank you very much to all of you. Really, really do appreciate all of your support. And with that, I'm going to say once again, if you are watching on one of the premiering streams, I think I'll just put this out on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream probably very shortly after this, so the campaign will still be active and running if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, so smash the GoFundMe link if you're watching there. But stay tuned, obviously, if you are watching on a premiering stream, as we'll be chatting a little bit afterwards. A massive thank you to Nick for obviously giving us his flat earth information on this Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream, and to all of you who've contributed, again, a massive thank you also to the panel on G+. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, keep telling you that. I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!
Grandchildren and people sleeping.
Excellent stuff. I'm glad that's all done and dusted and out the way.
Oh. Thank you so much, Nathan. I'm just wow. I didn't know what to expect. And so thanks for encouraging me to do this. It's yeah.
I'm gutted that we didn't get there. I was hoping to get to the total during the live show. Oh well, that was my aim. But I'm always optimistic.
Obviously, I will do a follow-up video, and I'll kind of gather my thoughts and make a bit more of a succinct thank you. But I know my wife and kids will be well. So I have to obviously let them know how it's going. But this is because it's just been there's been no light at the end of the tunnel until now. No way of knowing any kind of date or way of getting back faced with all this. So it's really shifted a huge boulder. Yeah.
Cool.
It's great, man.
I'm really pleased that it's gone as well as it has, actually, as much as I was sounding. You're £378 off the total that you asked for. So, hopefully when I republish this on the Nathan Oakley channel, I'll probably be out when it goes out. So, unfortunately, I won't be there and cheerleading in the chat. But nevertheless, it's more about having it out, with the link there. Like I was trying to say to you with the video that you put out, as long as it's out there with the link, when it goes out on. Shout out to everyone in the Nathan Oakley chat. I'm probably not listening. Chatting.
Hey, Nathan, do you have the link just by itself in Master B, just in case I'm having technical difficulties with the
so just can you want it in Master B?
Yeah, just put the link in Master B, because I got to get out of my truck here with my phone, go to my iPad, and see if I could just connect to it.
You've been driving and YouTubing?
No. I have a house full of people and grandkids, and they're sleeping. So my dog came out, and I jumped in the truck, and I'm right next to my Wi-Fi connection on the property. And I'm talking to you from my phone, which didn't have Hangout working out. So I had to go through a bunch of things just to get on. So now I'm like, wait a minute, I got to get over there and contribute. Why am I on this phone in the truck all this time?
It's only just gone 8 a.m. there, right?
To the dog.
It's only gone.
My dog.
It's only just gone 8 a.m., right?
What time is it here? Let me see. Yeah, 8:02 right now.
Yeah, very early for you.
Well, I mean, I was up earlier because I caught your show last night, but I wasn't aware you were live, and then I went to check my phone, and I said, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna jump on this." And I had the worst trouble jumping on. So, anyway, yeah, if you put the link there, then I know if I can't get it the other way, I'll get it that way.
Yeah, I'll share the GoFundMe link on my early bird show tomorrow morning, or tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we can raise a little bit more than the stated goal too, because there are other expenses to consider. So.
Wow. Yeah, obviously
Let's see how far it gets. It went pretty fast, okay? Like, how long has it been up now, the GoFundMe?
About 4 hours.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
This is the very... Sorry, Nick, you want to say something?
Yeah, please go ahead. Please.
I just say this is the very reason GoFundMe was created, for these kind of things. So I wouldn't be sure you know about using it. So
okay.
I won't worry about it, because you might give to a GoFundMe today, and some other time someone gives to one for you. This kind of stuff. It's just the way it is. But definitely utilize it. Why not? It's better to not be shy and utilize it and get home than not do all that.
But this is the textbook feel-good story that you're right, exactly, this is what it's for. But when you read the blurb, they're like talking about people needing bail and stuff. And
really?
Well, it's just well, no. The reason I'm bringing that up is because when I discussed it with you yesterday, you were like, this has been like a jail sentence, right?
Yeah.
So it's very appropriate, but instead of it being, he's done something wrong and, we need to get him out of jail, it's like, you've done nothing wrong. Everybody understands the circumstances that have befallen you. Everyone who can't have empathy for your situation? Nobody, right? Unless you're a heartless psychopath.
There are a few of them about, and we've experienced them too, haven't we?
Right, but generally, my audience is just very empathetic. They'll get it immediately, and they have. That's why it's been a successful campaign, because it's like it's a feel good story. That's why Arwen's like, we want the happy ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
But I guess you're right, Nathan, because also, there's a whole bunch of ballers, and they kind of hate our flat earthing, but some of them, not all of them, have families too, and even they will be like, okay, we might not like flat Earth, but this is definitely still a worthy cause, and we're here anyway, so why not? And there will be a couple of them, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and
if they support Nathan's iPad, they'll support you because they hate Nathan.
That's what puts it into context, Brian. So when I've had things that have happened, like my iPad's got a smashed screen, and I edit a lot of videos on that, and I can't afford to buy a new one. To me, that's like, oh, it's the end of the world. Realistically, first world problems or what? When you compare it to this, so yeah, it puts it into context, doesn't it? You're right, Brian.
Yeah. But as I said, it's amazing. I'm sure things have changed for everyone. Surely there is no one that's not been affected by this whole thing. Just the paradigm shift that we can see going on, and at the same time feel very powerless to do anything about, despite all the warnings and everything that were. It's mad to see all of these horrible predictions coming true, but at the same time, they're almost powerless to really do anything about it.
Oh, but hold on, it's not exactly an accurate image. That for the general public, there may not seem to be a way through, but at the same time, we're figuring it all out, like in one individual at a time with their own expertise, and we're just staring at it, listening, and there are kind of ways through just by realizing what's really going on. How does this really work? What is the judicial situation? They say one thing, but is it really like that? And so it's not as hopeless as it portrays to be. In the open.
Just add something about,
and we're also part of figuring that out.
I want to add something about GoFundMe. So, just for my own self-preservation, also. But the iPad, I actually ran the campaign with the iPad that I was supported by GoFundMe with. Just want to add that.
Oh, sweet.
I did. I ran the campaign with it. The iPad is a critical piece of equipment, and GoFundMe has enabled me to keep my show running in the slick way that I hopefully do, and do things like this. Instantaneously, I was able to produce a video telling my audience what was going on with decent enough picture and sound for people to have it legible and get my point across. I did that instantly because I got a nice iPad. I managed to run the campaign while the show was running, get all the stuff out to the audience, monitor the chat, all on the iPad. I've got the computer running the actual show, but to have something at your fingertips to do it with, the iPad's really important. I just don't want people to hear that and go, yeah, how dare you appeal for your first world problems with your iPad. It's like, well, no, I couldn't. I'm in, because people have supported me with things like the iPad, I'm in a position when I hear Nick's scenario to go, I can help you with that. And that's why, because people have facilitated me being able to help Nick do this, and the iPad's part of that. So I just don't want anyone to suddenly decry me appealing with my first world problems, because I've just demeaned them just to make it contextually. It's like, yeah, I'm still gonna probably do other GoFundMes if something else busts and I haven't got the money to do it. But the point is, this puts it into context in the scheme of things. When I opened up with my teaser for the audience yesterday saying I'm going to do a GoFundMe-a-thon, I was saying, where do I draw a line in the sand in terms of the situation currently? It's when it comes down to my family. And suddenly you've got someone like going, yeah, I'm separated from them. And you're like, holy shit. It suddenly makes you stop in your tracks.
Yeah.
So basically, before you ran to the forest, you helped Nick get to his forest.
Well, yeah, I want to get Nick home. Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. If I didn't do everything in my power instantaneously to enable that in some small way, even if I'd have, the campaign have only raised $500 and he was a third or a quarter of the way or whatever to getting to his target of getting home, that's a step. Well, that in itself would have been enough. The fact that it's like 1,642, shout out to Del West Watson and the other anonymous donator who've just dropped £20 and £10 respectively. If it wasn't for people like that, we wouldn't be sat here going, thank God we've got a lovely community. Yeah, we get trolled to all shit. But when stuff like this happens, I've had messages about the community that we're in from people like Bob Nodal out of the blue. He's got no motivation to do that. And it just makes me, it warms my heart. You're like, all right, okay. We've had past encounters where we've fallen out, not necessarily on a personal level, but on a professional level with things that we discuss on our shows, and it's ended in tears and sorrow and a lot of hurt and hate. And yet, off his own back for no reason whatsoever, he's got in touch with me, extending an olive branch for the second time, I might add. With me saying "fuck you." So things like that tell me, with no uncertain terms, we have a fantastic community. With probably one of the best ever.
Oh yeah, brilliantly said, Nathan. And with that, compassion and understanding of, you spot on.
I'm gonna round out the show.
Well, I'm gonna round it off. I gotta get in and jump on this to help you, Nick. But it is our pleasure. I speak for everybody, I'm sure. And we would help. Because I'm feeling the empathy. I know these guys here for a long time now. We would help people who wouldn't even agree with us get home to their family. That's the point. We have that. We have that genuine concern that some things outweigh, trifle arguments or whatever. So again, get home, give them a big hug. We're going to be so happy to see you there, and I'm going to sign off. But I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Lovely. Thank you. Lovely.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks all of you guys in G+.
Later.
Thanks for doing the show, you guys in G+.
Yeah, no problem. Our pleasure.
Thanks, Arwen. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Ten Man. And Martin, if you're still there. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Of course, a massive thank you to all of you who hopefully joined in and smashed the GoFundMe link, liked, commented, shared, subscribed. I'll encourage you again, if you can't afford to contribute to the campaign, which is definitely going to be still running when this show runs. So share the GoFundMe campaign. So click the link to contribute and then just click on the share button. Obviously, the main purpose is to actually raise the funds needed to get Nick home. So if you can, spare a couple of bucks and share to Nick's GoFundMe campaign. A thank you to Nick for sharing all of his Flat Earth information on this premiering stream. And of course, another thank you to all of the G+ panel for joining and showing their support. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!